Hello and welcome to this video. In last video we discussed up to the war of France against Prussia and Austria, and in this video we will discuss about the Jacobin Club. In last video we discussed that towards the end of 1792 to 93 there were large scale formation of various clubs, various associations where people gathered in order to discuss about the policies and political interests. Among those clubs, the most successful one was Jacobin Club. First, the Jacobin Club got its name from the former convent of Saint Jacob in Paris. Well, convent means a kind of religious community. So the Jacobin Club got its name from the convent of Saint Jacob of Paris. The members of Jacobin Club belonged mainly to the less prosperous section of the society. As we already discussed, that although after France became a constitutional monarchy, some sorts of rights were allowed to the active citizen, but passive citizens were yet deprived of all those facilities. And the members who belonged to the passive citizen group were mostly women and less prosperous men. So, the member of Jacobin Club were mainly belonged to less prosperous section of the society. It included small shopkeepers, artisans such as shoemakers, pastry cooks, watchmakers, printers, as well as servants and daily wage workers. So these kind of people who were economically backward in terms of their livelihood, they were mainly the member of Jacobin Club. And the leader of the Jacobin Club was Maximilien Robespierre. Let's discuss about the other characteristics of the member of Jacobin Club. A large group among the Jacobins decided to start wearing long striped trousers similar to those worn by dock workers. So as you can see in this picture, maximum number of members of Jacobin Club decided to wear full trouser first, second stripped full trouser. It was similar to the kind of trouser worn by dock workers. Dock workers means those who generally works in port area in order to load and unload the cargoes. Those were known as dock workers. So at that time the dock workers used to wear trousers like this, which was full length stripped trouser, and the member of dock workers decided to wear same. And the reason behind that was, first, this was to set themselves apart from the fashionable sections of the society, especially from nobles who wore knee breeches. And the move was taken in order to separate themselves, in order to segregate themselves from the fashionable section of the society in general and from the noble in particular. Because at that time the nobles of France used to wear knee breeches. Knee breeches means a kind of cloth whose length was up to the knees. So they decided to separate their identity. They decided to segregate, to look different from the noble class in particular and from the fashionable section of the society in general. It was a way to proclaiming the end of power wielded by the wearers of knee breeches, and not only to look fashionably different from them, it was also a way to proclaim or to show that the power of the noble class had come to an end. These Jacobins came to be known as sans-culottes, literally meaning those without knee breeches. And those members of the Jacobins who used to wear long striped full length trousers were came to be known as sans-culottes. Sans-culottes in French means those without knee breeches, means those people who are without knee breeches. And knee breeches means a kind of cloth up to the length of knee. Sans-culottes men wore in addition the red cap that symbolized liberty, and along with the long striped full length trouser, the sans-culottes were also wearing red cape, as you can see in the picture, and the red cape was the symbol of liberty. Liberty means freedom. Here it is the liberty from the autocracy, from deprivation, the liberty of speech, liberty of opinion, liberty of forming association, all those kind of liberty. Okay, they used to wear that red cap in order to symbolize liberty. Except Jacobin Club, there were various other clubs also formed during those time. Although Jacobin remained the most successful and known one, except that women too formed their own clubs. Even various women came together to form their own club where they discussed about their right. We are just discussing about the passive citizen and particularly about the less prosperous man passive citizen. We are yet forgetting about the woman. The woman had no right at that time, and they were too struggling for all those freedom and those rights. So many women came together to form their own clubs. On the morning of August 10th, they stormed the palace of the Tuileries, massacred the king's guard, and held the king himself as hostage for several hours. So, on the morning of August 10th, the members of Jacobin Club they attacked the king's palace and massacred means killed the king's guard and held the king. Later, the assembly voted to imprison the royal family, and later in the assembly, a vote of majority was in the favor of imprisoning the royal family, means the whole family of Louis XVI, including himself. Elections were held. From now on, all men of 21 years and above, regardless of wealth, got the right to vote. Then, elections were held, and in the new election, all the men above 21 years, before it was 25 years, so now it is all the men of 21 or above year can vote regardless of their economical strength or regardless of their wealth. Before it was only the wealthier section. A person who can pay the tax which was equal to minimum 3 days wage of a labor could only vote, but now it was abolished and all the men of 21 years or above can vote without regarding to their wealth status. But notice one thing, yet the women did not have their voting right. It is not yet granted to them. The newly elected assembly was called the convention. The newly elected assembly was now not known as the National Assembly, rather it known as the convention. Louis XVI and his royal family members were captured on 10th August. On 21st September 1792, finally the monarchy was abolished. France declared as a republic. Republic means a state or a nation where it is governed by its own people. Louis XVI was sentenced to death by a court on the charge of treason. Treason means a person who betray his own country. So as Louis XVI was involved in a secret negotiation with Prussia, Austria and other neighboring countries in order to bring down the constitutional France down and to restore the monarchical government, so he sentenced to death in the charge of treason, which means betraying your own country. He was executed publicly at the Place de la Concorde, and he was executed, guillotinized publicly. He faced death publicly, openly, where everyone witnessed his death. The Queen, Marie Antoinette, met with the same fate shortly after. And shortly after the execution of Louis XVI, his Queen, Marie Antoinette, also met with the same fate. And finally, France became a Republic France and monarchy got abolished completely. That's all about this video. Thank you.